Okay. We can move this over. There we go. Oh, wait. Why isn't it? Okay, this is up. And if we play music, it's playing through. Okay, cool. All right, all right. We are up, and let's get TikTok on our phone here. Welcome in, people. Welcome in. Welcome. Hopefully, you guys have been having a fantastic Sunday. It's been an interesting weekend. I felt kind of down yesterday, just like really sad. If I wasn't sad, I don't know. I just felt lonely, and I was in kind of a negative state of my mind. And even going into this day, it was kind of that way too. Um, hey, thanks, Camilo. Appreciate you. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right. But I'm feeling good now. I'm feeling decent. We got my guitar, and the topic tonight is what's been on your mind lately. We can talk about literally anything at all. Camilo, am I pronouncing that right? Camilo, how you doing? Doing good. That's good. Good to hear. Appreciate you liking the live and hanging out. Give it a bit. It's only a minute 41 seconds we've been live, so we'll get more people in here. Hopefully, it's 9:24 here, and yeah. I was like really in a negative state of mind, and I think I'm oversleeping, which isn't good. I need to wake up tomorrow and really get up and out of my bed because it's been a lot of just bed rotting. That's okay sometimes. I think it was needed to rot in my bed for a bit, but I'm here now, trying to be productive. World Cup's been on your mind. Nice, Jake. They're playing games here in KC, so there's been a lot of people coming into town. I haven't really been a part of it or keeping up with it, but I think it's a cool thing that they're doing it. I think it's great. All right, we got 3 people. All right. Hopefully everyone's been having a fantastic Sunday. Do you have an opinion on this Sony controversy to go completely digital by 2028? I don't know what to think about that, to be honest. I know I don't have a strong opinion because I don't play video games as much as I used to, or I don't even play video games anymore because I sold my console before I became homeless. I played Red Dead Redemption 2, moseyed around with Arthur Morgan, just hanging out. Played one mission and then I'm like, okay, goodbye Xbox. Maybe in the future I'll get another console again, but I don't have a strong opinion. I don't know exactly what the negatives are or positives. I think less things to make, but like I don't know. Like you don't technically own anything then, right? Because it's all digital. Is that what's the controversy? Hey, Mal Rides, I remember you. Good to see you. I'm just chilling. It's been a kind of interesting weekend where I've just felt down, but I'm feeling good now. I think, like I said, I've been getting too much sleep, and I think that's part of what the case is. Because my schedule for last week was to go into work at 10:30, which meant I can sleep in my bed till like 9:30, and no, that's not good. I need to get up and at least walk around and do something. So, today went decent. I was productive for the most part, and I feel good talking right now. Like it was really brain foggy where I was calling my mom on the phone and like I couldn't just like articulate myself in a way that felt it felt forced, if that made sense. So I was like low energy, but I feel okay now. I totally understand. Glad you're getting out of that rut. Yeah, thank you. I think externalizing my thoughts and just like talking and blah 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 it has been helpful. I've talked about this plenty of times. So we have a person coming up. Hello.
Hey buddy, how you doing?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I just got back from a military exercise in Mongolia.
Whoa, dude. That's whoa. What's that all entail? If you don't mind me asking, or if you can
Oh
disclose it.
yeah, it was a foreign military coming all around, multiple allies and all that stuff. And my job was just to be an instructor to treat uh, to train field medicine and casualty care.
Whoa. How? Explain more. Explain more. I'm curious.
Sure. Lots of Soviet era vehicles the Mongolian soldiers had. Japanese, South Koreans, India was there. Um, and I heard there was some IDF, but I didn't never saw them. But
Mhm.
it was a great time.
So like when you're training them for like medical purposes, like what all goes into like as a medic, right? Like you're training as a medic instructor. Is that what I'm gaining from this?
Well, so my MOS is 68 Whiskey, combat medic, and
Okay.
my job was to co-train with the military on getting people in and out of the danger zone, right? So TCCC, care and fire, tactical field care, and then the extraction part. But it's everything from on the ground, mobilization, helicopter extraction, stuff like that.
Dude, that's badass, man. That's fucking awesome.
Right? And so my thing, that's what's on my mind lately. And it sucks because I love helping these type of people. In Mongolia, I may have saw two homeless people the whole time I was there.
Hmm.
I come back to my home state of Alaska and I go down one block, there's 20.
Right, right.
And in this country of ours, happy 250th, by the way, we have such a homeless problem, and yet we have so many resources and so much stuff compared to a developing country like Mongolia.
Hmm.
I don't I feel like a lot of our homeless problems is more on those people as individuals than our system.
And what like more on those individuals in the system. So explain that a little bit more.
Sure. I feel like people who are homeless, for the most part, are there because of their own doing, whether
Hmm.
that be rugs or they just want to be dependent on, welfare or whatnot, social programs. Because in these developing countries like Mongolia, I've been to Japan, I've been to areas around Australia, you don't see homeless problems like you see in America.
Hmm.
And I feel like a lot of it is self-induced.
Yeah, I can see that being part of it. I was actually homeless in what was it, November till February of last year, living in my car. So I wasn't like I still had my car, which was nice, right? But I would go to eat lunch at this place at this church that they served hot food, and it was a rough time just being. Well, I mean, I made the most of it, right? It wasn't like as bad as it sounds, but like it was still like another person could see it as being a bad thing. But I was encouraged by my therapist to apply for this transitional living place where they offer housing for people who are homeless. So I'm living there right now. So I'm able to like be around homeless people, which is interesting for one. Um,
Mm.
but it's a program like I don't know how strict it is to get in, but we only house 20 people at this building I'm in it right now. But I haven't really got to know like people's backstories too much. Like I know one guy's backstory, and it's not always the case where it's like people are trying to like like it's not self inflicted all the time. But I can see cases where it can be right, like what you're saying.
Right, right. And you got an apartment now and everything. You doing
No,
good?
I'm living in this transitional living for I got 1 year to live here until next February. So I live with a bunch of guys, and we get our own rooms, we get our own beds. They get food for us. The staff is great. I get a case manager on top of like my other case manager through the state or through the county. So there's a lot of resources I'm gaining, and it's really one of those programs where like I feel like I'm able to get on my feet again and really like get to a destination in the future where this doesn't happen again, right? Um,
Well, I'm glad that you have a place to stay
Thank you.
because living out there, people can get quite desperate and it's harsh, it's dangerous, and I'm glad that you have a roof over your head and everything. So I
Appreciate
hope
that.
the best for you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's one of those things where I felt fortunate to have a car, right? And I had a 0 degree sleeping
Right.
bag and a heated blanket. And when it got below zero, my feet only got a little bit uncomfortable. I could probably make it work. And I'm thinking about it's probably not the best, but like if I had to do this in the future again, I would definitely like do it to save money because things are just so expensive nowadays. Um, but right now I feel good where I'm at, it's just really, it sounded weird saying I was homeless, right? But I was, and
Yeah.
it just circumstances happened to where I just didn't have a place to stay, and I'm very fortunate to have this program to be where I'm at right now. So
Yeah. I've done some personal selfless acts like walking down the streets and giving non-perishable food out to homeless. I put some of it on my profile and all that stuff,
oh nice,
but there's just too many where me as one guy in one bank account, I can only do so much.
exactly.
But um, but certainly we have a big problem. We need to address it some way because I don't know where you're staying, but here up in Alaska, every winter, roughly 50 to 60 people are found unalived in the winter.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's usually from like the springtime when all the snow is melting.
Mm,
And because, snow comes, it accumulates, and you don't see people kind of deal.
right.
And but I think what would you think would be one of the easier ways that we could possibly fight against this homeless problem?
Good question, and I don't have the answer. I'll tell you one story though that kind of it's interesting when depending on the type of homeless person you run into, right? Like the people here are great that I talk to for the most part. Like they're good men and they want a better future for themselves, and there's an opportunity for them to have that, right? But like last year, I went downtown, and I was just like, the downtown life isn't for me. But I'm like, why not try to go to bars, right? And it just wasn't a time for me. Like I'd rather go into speakeasies or like smaller places where I can like talk to people and instead of it just being like a rave or like like I
Yeah,
don't know. I'm not really big into that. But anyways, I walked back to my car into the parking garage and I saw a homeless guy and he was asking for money. And he's like, "There's an ATM over there." I'm like, "No, no. Well, let me take you to like a restaurant around here, and we'll get food." He's like, "No, I don't trust the cooks around here." I'm like, "Well, where do you live at? Like, let's walk back to where you live and let's try to find like a restaurant or something where we can get you some food." And he's like, "Nah, nah, it's like it's like a mile away, and there's an ATM over there." I'm like, "Well, I'm not gonna get you money because like you don't always know what people are gonna do with money when you give it to them, right?" And I just wanted to give him a meal, and I see that being an issue in a sense, like 'cause people I don't think always want to be helped sometimes, or I don't know how to phrase this in the best way. Um, I think I don't know how to phrase this in the best way. I think if we had resources for people to where we can really get to understand who they are as people and motivate them and like believe in them and be like, hey, like you can do something with your life, right? Or like it's not just failed and set up against you and having resources to help these people out, like having like what I have right now with this building and like with this transitional living place, like it's like not everyone can get in here, right? But like having more funding for people who can be sufficient on their own and having the resources so they can talk about their problems and this is partly why I do this like live is so we can like vulnerably just share information with each other and come to an idea of how we can align and progress as humans in the first
hmm
place. I think if I'm just like having this platform where we can talk about literally anything, if anyone just wants to ramble or vent or whatever, like having a safe space for that, I think is good and showing that dialogue can be possible. But when it comes to like the homeless issue, I don't know what the solution is. Like, because like if we give them resources and if they don't want to change or if they just want to like stay in the system where like they're on like food stamps or Medicaid or whatever it might be, where they can't get a full time job, or unless that gets taken away from them, like, or I don't know how that exactly all works, but like, how do we?
yeah,
I think the deeper question is like, how do we motivate these people to want to do something better in the future, and how do we give them that light to like see that it is possible, right?
yeah. Certainly, there's a big problem that's, the substances they may take and
Yes.
all the danger aspects that's going to make you more aggressive just because life is going to push you in a certain way. You know, we have a lot of break-ins. We have a lot of substance abuse up here in Alaska, and If you in a normal day, if you give it an hour, there's going to be someone yelling down the street from where I
Mm-hmm.
live,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But down to the individual, I can't say. I'm not a psychiatrist.
Right.
But from the big picture, all the services that we have done, it's we still have this big problem. And so maybe we need to get more radical. I was I was talking to a captain in the military here, and I was thinking where it is harsh, it acts as rehabilitation, like rehab. If we were to move to making homelessness an infraction, a very low tier crime, and
Mm-hmm.
where it gets them off the streets, it gets them away from substances. If they need medical care, they have it. And of course, they have meals and a roof over their head for a window of time, especially
Mm-hmm.
for the winter time. It's harsh, but I think that might be what we need to go to next.
A low tier crime, as in, like, what would that consequence be, in your opinion?
So I believe that the word would be infraction. Like think of like jaywalking, right? Like you can get a ticket for jaywalking and all
Right.
that stuff, but it's not going to like ruin your employee status or something like that. But um, I think especially for the wintertime, if we were to give them like a month sentence, they're out of the elements, especially in the harsher times in the winter, and they get the care that they need.
So we put him in, like, so 1 month sentence, like we put him in jail for a month?
Yes.
Okay, well that's interesting. Well, there's a couple things. Here in my city, and I think in other cities too, they've been banning tents, and you can't live in a tent on the street, right? And that gets
Right.
kind of difficult because, like, where are these people going to go? And if we put them in jail, like, jails are already full in the first place. I think the city I live in, it's packed to the place where there's, I think, 4 people to like a room, and like whatever size
Hmm.
it is, and like it's it's one of those things where I don't think we should punish the people who are in these circumstances, even though it might motivate them, maybe potentially. Um, I think, hmm,
It's
because we
harsh.
we
I
have
know.
to we have to understand why they're in this position in the first place. And it comes back to an idea I have with, we're all a product of our luck with biology, and our luck in our environment, how we grew up, and how both of those have happened indicates how we behave as adults. And I think if we go into like an empathetic mode or like state where we try to understand why people end up in this for the first place, and if we get people to really motivate and encourage people. I know this is kind of broad, but I have a rough idea of how we can do this as a collective to bring up people with us, if that makes any sense. Um, and it's a radical story, but it's a radical kind of idea. Well, kind of is it? Um, hmm.
It's rough,
I
and
yeah.
we can't we can't carve rules and regulations around the individual because that would be way too hard,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately we wouldn't help the majority. But there's got to be some kind of standard and that we need to have in order to help all that we can.
Right.
There's going to be failures, and there's a lot of failures right now.
One
But
thing.
what we're huh?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry. Sorry. Sorry.
I just see like through our you know social services, we got a lot of warming tents, food and women's shelters and everything, which I'm glad for.
Mm-hmm.
But with all the state taxes that we are funding for all these programs, along with EMTs, ambulances, police, fire, they all have to come out. It gets quite expensive.
Right.
And I'm thinking, money wise, what would be cheaper to give them a sentencing and they're away from rugs and all that stuff for a month or two versus keeping them on the streets. And parents don't want their kids to be out at night, or women don't feel comfortable walking out at night, kind of deal.
Right.
If you go to Asia, there's tons of women walking in pitch black darkness, and they don't think like we do because they don't have the environment like we do. you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're talking about, but it's not only homeless people that are like making like it unsafe sometimes, right? There's other characters
Very
out
true.
there, but just to
Very
add that,
true.
but I know what you mean. I still like would like sleeping in your car be a crime?
I don't, I mean, it's technically homeless because it's not like a property.
Right.
I know Florida, they made it illegal to do that. Um,
Right.
but at least you have some kind of shelter that doesn't look like a tent that's taking up some space out on the side. But regardless, you should probably have some kind of foundation beneath you and a roof above you.
Right.
Um, I've slept in my truck for a while. Alaskan winters, sleeping in a truck is quite
Ooh,
rough.
yes.
Uh, the biggest struggle is keeping my cat nice and warm.
Aw,
But
yeah.
yeah, no, it's a harsh thing to do. But and it makes people more likely to do something that they shouldn't or they wouldn't do if they had things like food, water, shelter at all times, you know,
Potentially.
because like
Right.
desperate.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from, and it's an interesting idea. Cause like, well, when I slept in my car, like I was like the first night, like I rotated around a casino, I rotated around hotel parking lots, I rotated around. Well, those are pretty much the two big ones. And I tried Planet Fitness, but then I saw their sign saying no trespassers or something like that. Even though I asked inside if I could sleep in my car, and they said yeah, it's okay for the night, but like I didn't keep going there. But like I even felt like the first night sleeping in the casino parking lot, like I was just on edge. I'm like, oh my god, like someone's gonna knock on my door and it's just gonna be like they're gonna tell me to leave, and it's just like stressful. And luckily that didn't happen for the 3 months I was homeless, 3.5 months. But I see it being difficult in a sense to just put like all homeless people into prison when there's already like like when they're already full and for the most part like it might be a way to like keep them off the streets, but like I still find that kind of harsh to be honest.
It is harsh. I agree. And where I wish that I could think of a better solution between me and some soldiers, we thought that prison and where they can get the food, shelter, like I said before, if they need psychiatric help, there are psychiatrists that go to different prisons and jails and all that stuff.
Right.
But right now, I think that's just the best thing we can do because the solution that we have right now, we still have homeless people out there, so it's not the best solution. No,
Well, what's interesting is like before, like this is a while ago. I thought about this. Like if I remember, for some reason, a while ago, like if I ever become homeless and like I'm become so desperate where I can't like survive, like why not commit like a minor crime like stealing or something like that, or like whatever would get me in jail. Like is
they
that
do.
possible that that happens?
They do. Yeah, it does. There was a I don't know if I'd say it's famous. It happened about 6 years ago. A man walked into I think a grocery store or gas station, and he just said he wanted to rob the place for $1 exactly,
Mm-hmm.
and he just waited for the police to come there. And I
Right.
believe he had some form of cancer, and so he went to jail for robbing a store, a gas station, and he got free medical care through it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it comes to another problem, and I think we're gonna see this more in the future with AI like taking over jobs. Is there's gonna be people that are like literally not gonna be able to afford to pay rent or what that's already happening. Like things are so expensive and like people are living paycheck to paycheck and like it's hard to like provide for your family. I think less people are having kids, but like some people are of course still. But like it's becoming more and more difficult to even survive off of like one like off of a couple like if you lived with a partner like your paychecks but like by myself as a single person living in an apartment that costs like 1,300 a month like I had a decent job at the time but so I didn't have to really worry about money but like I think we have to figure out like how to help people instead of punishing them even though if it's a motivator so
True.
I see where you're coming from, and there's no really good answer for this that I have. I don't know the solution. I'm not that smart, right? But I think if we somehow put more resources into understanding the individual and providing resources so they could be helped and survive, so they don't make those decisions to still be homeless or to steal or whatever it might be, like in poverty, like people in poverty. I think we can do something with that, and that's like a very wishful, like optimistic thinking. But um, um, I think if we I don't know, what can we do, Brady? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yep. Certainly everything we have tried to in place to this far has been quite ethical for the most part. Um, but eventually the funds are going to run low. And if it runs too low, where like we start losing things like warming shelters, we're
Right.
probably going to have more break-ins because people want to get warm, they want to survive. If
Yeah.
it's just such a push and pull
Mm-hmm.
because anything you add or subtract from what we can or can't do, there's going to be a radicalization depending on which side you're looking at.
Yeah.
Less food, more desperation. Less warming shelters, more break-ins, etc. And it can be a snowball effect. Where I don't want homeless people, I see them just like myself. They have dreams, they have goals, they have family. Um, I think one of the best things we can do is give them some tough love and maybe a 1 month jail sentence where they're away from substances and people who are influencing maybe bad behavior or whatnot. But
Yeah.
yeah,
One thing, like when it comes to like AI, like taking over people's jobs in the future, and it becomes pretty competitive just to get a job at McDonald's. Like we don't have a safety net for people in place. Like we're not thinking about. I don't think people are having this conversation enough to like understand like what the safety net is going to be for people who uh, lose their jobs to AI. Right. So I worked in the film industry. I'm a 3D artist. I worked there for 8 months, which was fantastic, living the dream and doing the thing, right? But there's already like for the job I was doing as a visualization artist, which is basically creating a rough version of the movie to show the director and clients to understand what the movie is gonna look like, so they can send it off to finals animation. Like that's already been
yeah,
prompted by the director in some, well, not all circumstances. Like there's still a need for visualization and getting it, like having a human touch on it, right? But
hmm
there's directors who are like prompting AI and being like, "Hey, spit out 30 concept art pieces," and they will just do it on their own, or they do visualization where it's like a rough like animation of the movie, right? And it's not too, like it's not perfect, but it's like enough to get something out there, right? And I don't see myself going back into the film industry because it's unstable, even though it'd be the dream. But like there, with my industry, there's a real threat of AI taking over artist jobs, and I don't know like with other industries how that's gonna be like, but I believe it's a threat in a way, and I don't think we have the safety net to help people in these situations where they lose their job, and then what happens after that if they can't afford rent, and like we're gonna have even much more of a housing like a crisis to even survive, right? And I think it might become even worse in the future if we keep letting AI take over jobs, right? So that's one thing, right? And I'll leave it at that, and I'll bring up the other point later on.
yeah. But I'm not sure if other people want to come up or anything, but
That's
it was
fine.
good talking to you.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, you too, man.
hopefully I can hopefully I can get back over to Asia at some point because that place so beautiful, man. So beautiful. But
Yeah,
I hope you take care. Good talking to you, bro.
yeah, you too. I appreciate you coming up. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Bye bye. Hello. Why did I say hello? Because why not? Hello, everyone. We got three people. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. There was a person that wanted to come up, but I think they're gone. Um, let's see if we can catch up on comments. So many thanks to wage stagnation and the theft of wealth by the billionaires. Yeah, where Roman live here, they are underestimated despite of the resources they utilize to raise their kids. If someone is homeless, just buy a house. When I left our abuser, they took my daughter away illegally. We were staying in an abuse shelter. Weren't doing anything wrong. Yeah, that sounds really rough, Delphi. I'm sorry to hear about that. Um, yeah, it's a concern. With how do we help people in these situations, right? Um, and well, I can go into it, but I was gonna get into this with him. It gets a bit philosophical and psychological in a sense, maybe. But one second. How do I phrase this in the right way? So how I said in the past, where we're all a product of our luck in biology and our luck as with our environment, how we grew up, and I think it's pretty universal to this point that we were all hurt by a person. I think everyone's been hurt by someone. Hey, Dr. Opossum, how's it going? And I think that's universal, and that can like traject us to behaving in however ways we behave now, right? And there's an idea with scientific determination, or how I would say it with me is like predetermination, where like we're having this conversation. Like I've already had this conversation with the last guy. I'm explaining this, like I've already explained this, and it's a way for me to psychologically unlock my mind to just be free, saying whatever I need to, and kind of just roll with whatever is on my mind, because I think if I think in this way, it helps me reflect on other people who have been in such a way where we can be more conscious of like how they are, so we can help them out and put resources in place so they can become better. And I think if we understand that people are a product of their biology, like how like for instance, my friend that's he has MS, and it's essentially his white blood cells are attacking his nervous system for him to become lethargic and low energy and feeling depressed at times. And like he's not in control of that. It's like in a sense we don't have free will. It's like more of an illusion in a sense, to where like his biology is determining what he thinks and how he acts and feels and behaves and whatever. And there's another study where there's like the hungry judge case, where how's it go, Brady? Where like if the same judge had two different trials, or like what's it called, trials, or people coming in to determine if they're going to go to jail or not. Like if they were hungry, if the judge was hungry, the person with the same kind of trial would get a stronger sentence, or like a worse sentence, maybe go to jail. And the person, when they were not hungry, when after they ate, they didn't receive as harsh of a punishment. And if hunger can determine a person's choice, then what's that mean? Because we're not all I think there's like competing desires within us all the time that like determine like how we behave and how we act and how we think. And that's with biology, right? But with our environment, like how we were raised and we're born, if we better understand how we are as people and individuals, how we fit into the world, I think we can be more conscious and aware and navigate the ship, even though we might be out of control with different desires like that. Am I making any sense here? And I'm just rambling. But it's one of those things where I think it comes down to like how consciousness is, and what is consciousness, Brady, and what do you mean? Like, what does people mean by consciousness? I was watching a video before this with different types of theories of consciousness, which materialism. I think what is it? Dualism, I think, is another one. Panpsychism is something I resonate with, and panpsychism essentially is like everything to ever be has like a varying level degree of like consciousness. Like that's not to say like an atom is a thinking thing, but it might have subjective experience to the point where like it's something inside is going on that we don't fully understand. And what does this mean? We can apply this to literally everything, to like the nature and the environment, and maybe it helps us become more like caring about the environment in a sense, if these things have their own subjective experience that is like alien to us, like a tree, like it's having its own subjective experience and it's like alien to us, like because we don't understand how that's like, right? So I imagine like if we just take away our senses, right, like take away sight, like sound, hearing, taste, smell, touch. What's that mean? What's that mean to be that? And then what's it mean if we don't have memory? Like, what's that like to experience something without senses, without memory? And would that be something close to a tree? I have no idea. But when we talk about panpsychism, we can understand, you know, how people make decisions in the first place, and be more empathetic to them, and put more resources into people who are struggling, to the point where it's like empathetic. It's a way to empathize with people, to the point where if they were determined to go on this path, and the choices they made were stronger to act in such a way that's not productive, we can be like, whoa, let's correct that in real time. And like, if we get more people on board with like trying to understand others, and hear them out, and support them, and motivate them, and believe in them, like, what does that do, right? I think there's a lot of benefit to thinking about things in these different ways, to reach different conclusions, to propel us and progress us as humans, the human species, and be whole. And that's a harmony, and that's like in the future, Brady. But like, I think we really can get there. I believe we can get there. And I'm rambling, but I think we shouldn't punish people who have made wrong decisions. Well, we can, obviously, people can be accountable to their actions, right? But not homeless people. Like, if people are murdering people, yes, hold them accountable. But let's rehabilitate them in a way to understand their minds, so they can, if they can be better. Can people change? Well, that's one thing, right? How they get to that idea to do that in the first place? And I think it's contextual with each person. And I'm just rambling. Life isn't always that deep, but repeat. If you enjoyed digging into it, I'm just rambling. I'd rather talk to someone instead of ramble. If anyone wants to talk, the topic is what's been on your mind lately. You can literally click on the pink and the blue dudes down there, and yeah, life isn't always that deep, but like, it can be a way for people to understand things differently, to progress. Um, I imagine there's like an infinite amount of ideas just floating around in space. Where like, the more we like be vulnerable with our voices, like with ourselves, introspectively and reflectively, like, to understand, why am I the case? Why am I this way, right? And put that out there, and then having other people to bounce ideas off of, we can reach these like different like questions and ideas, and get to a solution where we can figure it out together, right? Because I don't have all the answers, but I know what I don't know, to remain curious, open-minded, and understanding. And I put that in my foundation, and I go forth. And when it comes to predetermination, it's where, I'm agnostic, but I lean spiritually, to the point where, like, if the gods are in control of me, control me. I don't care at this point. If I'm just experiencing Brady at this point as the observer in the present moment, then what's that mean? And I think it psychologically unlocks how I think, and how I'm able to be now. Because I wouldn't have been doing this a year ago. Like, I had social anxiety like crazy. I was negatively thinking about who I was, and I'll get the next person up here. Hello.
Hello, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
Yeah. So what's been on your mind lately?
What's really been on my mind lately has been more so my social life,
Okay.
and like I got a girl or whatever, and she's been having like mad fun this summer, and I've been working like every day, and I just been feeling like I'm making so much money, but like, is it worth it if I'm not able to enjoy it for real?
That's a good question. How long do you work?
I work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Holy cow. Like
every day.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
Holy cow. If you don't mind me asking, what do you do for a living?
I work at a firm which sells tech in big stores like a BJ's or a Walmart or a Target,
Hmm.
and we work with like places like AT&T, Verizon, solar, people like that.
And you don't get any time off, like any days of the week off?
I mean, I can, but I've chosen to grind out this entire summer working every day because I'm paying for my college
Oh, yeah.
solely. And so I'd be able to still afford my college with working less, but I know once school starts up again, I want to make that my first priority. So if I
Mhm.
grind 7 days a week, I'll have uh I'll be overly comfortable.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like one of those like long-term payoffs. It sounds like, where if you're putting
Yeah,
the work in now, like you'll be able to be comfortable in the future.
yeah,
And you have a girl, you said, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's difficult because like I think it's one of those things. I don't know if you're at this point yet, but I've definitely burnt out of my job 3 times. Like in my career, I've burnt out 3 times by just going at it like fucking crazy. And getting that work life balance has made me more of a happier person to the point where I'm not stressed. But I think everyone's on their own journey, right? And I think if you want to grind right now to be more comfortable in the future, I think that's plausible, right? But it could be hard if you don't have that time to spend with your significant other too, right?
yeah. And one thing I've noticed is like I know this sounds like a bad thing, but like my girl will go out and go with her friends and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
like I'll get home and like yeah, I can still go do things, but by the time I get home, I eat, shower, and probably watch a little something on the TV. I'd be ready to go to bed by like 10:30.
Right.
Cause I know I gotta wake up at realistically 6 so I could get to work at 7.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and at the same time, it's like I can't fully say like I'm not partially to blame because I made some really reckless financial decisions that kind of also put me in this type of kind of predicament.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't hate my job by any means. Like I like it. It's just kind of a little. It can be a little draining when you work every day.
Yes, I can see that being the case, definitely.
Uh, and as well, what's also been on my mind is kind of I don't know if you're familiar, but like feeling like because of your work life balance, your relationship the
Oh, you cut out there. Hello? You might got a phone call. Boom, 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 boom. You're out of the app right now, but you might know that. Let's see. If you're sad about having all that money, please send it to me. Labor for economic purpose is never worth it, but we are stuck, right? It is wise to crush it early so you can retire with no worries. Potentially. Potentially. Depends. I think it depends on the person. Ah, man, dang, he left. I think it depends on the person. Um, like if you feel like you can knock it out, sure. But spending time with loved ones is important too, and having that balance I think is critical. Um, uh, yeah, cool. There is 4 people watching. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight, guys. It's been a nice Sunday. I think the night's been going a lot more better than the day. And I've been having a good time just hanging out with you guys too. Um, but yeah, if anyone else wants to request up and just chit chat, hey, there we go, Sean. Sean. I think that was an accident though, right? Because I don't see you anymore. That's okay. I think potatoes are tubular. What's tubular mean? Potatoes are great. Tubular, does tubular mean great? Let's look it up. Tubular. Anything shaped like or composed of a tube? I don't think that's what you meant. I don't think that's what you meant, at least. I don't know. Um, tubular. Anything shaped like or composed of a tube. Why do you think potatoes are shaped like a tube? I'm probably thinking that and taking that in the wrong way. Tubular is the whole surfer's ride in on a wait. Okay. Interesting. Cool. So yeah, anyone that's joining our live right now, the topic tonight is what's been on your mind lately. We can talk about literally anything at all. You can request up with the blue and the pink dudes down here, or you can send send a chat in the whatever in the chat, and I'll invite you up. Why do we allow white superheroes walk in DC? What do you mean by that? Why do we allow white superheroes walk in DC? Walk. What do you mean by walk? Tubular is 90s slang for awesome. Nice. I knew it sounded like familiar, but I just didn't know. I didn't know what it meant. Potatoes are awesome, I would say. They're just like any way you cook them. Mashed potatoes. Oh, French fries. Oh, the au gratin. Is that how you pronounce it? Au gratin. Potatoes. Man, I don't even know. The funeral potatoes. It's weird. A friend of mine says funeral potatoes, and they're like the cheesy potatoes. He doesn't really mean superheroes. What do you mean by that? Why do we allow white? Oh, I see. The thing that happened in DC. I think I saw a video of that. Yeah, that's weird. Where people just like mask up and be like, "Yeah, we're proud." You're okay. I think it's kind of strange. I think it's odd. I would be curious to talk to people that are like that, so we can understand how not to be in the future, and not repeat things that have already happened in the past, right? If they want to be open, and does awesome mean some awe while awful means full of awe? Does awesome mean awe while awful means full of awe? I like that. Agree, and all masked up. Like, why not just show your face? Like, hey, it's me. And be like, yeah, I hold these beliefs. Like, why be a coward? Did I just say coward? Yeah, fucking cowards. But that's okay. We ought to understand cowards too. Do you think it is 6 mil or 271K? I don't know what you mean by that, Mav Chud. 6 mil? I don't know what you mean. I really don't. But yeah, we'll say it again. There's 9 people. Whoa, hello 9 people. We're just hanging out tonight with the topic being what's been on your mind lately. Oh, with the Holocaust. Dude, I had a guy come up last year when I was in Mania. Whoa, I had TikTok when I was in Mania, and it was intense. But he was a Holocaust denier and sent me this like documentary to watch, and I did, and it was just a bunch of bullshit. And I'm like, dude, like, it doesn't have to, like, either if it was 6 million or if it was 200K, that's still one too many. Like, you have to understand that was wrong. We ought not to do that ever again, and we ought to look at it in a thing where, like, yeah, we don't deny that shit. That's not good. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm okay. I think, like, I'm listening to you and stuff like you, but I think you're talking like that you're the person who has an idea about the way it should be. Like,
Well,
that's cool.
Ideas. We all have our ideas, right?
Well, but it feels like you're telling people how they should be.
What do you mean? Like, in what way?
In any way.
Well, give me an example.
You just keep talking.
I'm
you keep talking.
Comments. Give me an example of what I said, and I'll.
I don't give a fuck with the comments, bro.
Well, I'm waiting for someone to come up, and now you said that I'm acting like I know everything, which I don't. But I'm asking you for an example of what I said, so we can actually dissect it.
Gay.
What'd you say?
You're gay.
What'd you say?
You're gay.
Are you confused?
No, I'm not. I'm saying you're gay.
Are you sure you're not confused?
No, I'm 100%. I am absolute that you're gay.
Okay, so let's go back. So I don't
gay.
know. I don't know everything.
Gay.
I know
gay.
what I don't know. To remain curious, open-minded.
Gay.
Why is that a bad thing? Why is that a bad thing?
You think you're fucking right.
Is that your
Tell
face?
me so.
Hold on. Put your camera
Hold on.
Put your camera on.
Tell me something. No, tell me something
put your camera
that you feel tell me something you feel you're right about that you could be wrong about.
tell me something that you could be right about that you could be wrong about. That you're gay.
Would you like me to explain life to you?
Go for it.
You're the type of person who thinks that everything you think is correct.
No, I don't.
While not realizing that, well, let's just shut the fuck up for a second and listen to someone else say something for a
Stop
second.
accusing me for something that is not true.
I did, and I shut the fuck up. And I was right. I was right because you keep talking and you don't fucking listen. That's
I'm
why.
listening right now.
You don't listen.
You're not saying anything of substance.
Oh, well, if you was listening, you
I'm
would shut the
listening.
fuck up.
I'm listening right now, buddy. You can.
No, then shut the fuck up.
Let's dial
Then
it down
shut
a
the
notch.
fuck up.
Let's
Then
dial-
shut the fuck up.
Let's dial
Then
it down a
shut the
notch.
fuck
Hey,
up.
You don't have to say.
Shut
hey,
the
hey,
fuck up,
buddy,
dude.
Hey, you're not
Hey,
saying anything
guess
of
what?
substance
Shut
right
the fuck
now.
up.
You're not saying anything of substance.
Shut the fuck up, bro.
Hey,
It's
calm
not
down.
substance because you don't care.
Calm
It's
down.
not substance.
I
You
don't
care.
care.
Maybe
What
shut the
what
fuck
makes you
up.
think I don't? What makes you
Maybe
think I
shut
don't
the
care?
fuck up.
What makes you think I don't
Maybe
care?
shut the fuck up because you keep talking. Because you
So
keep
I'm
talking.
telling you to calm down. Are you
Well,
calm
that's
now?
the problem.
Are
You
you
keep
calm?
telling me what the fuck, dude. Why don't
No.
you shut the fuck up? And no
Why
one
you
gives a
want-
fuck, bro.
Why are you like this?
No one gives a fuck, bro.
Okay, that was unproductive. If anyone wants to critique what I said in the chats, you're more than welcome to do that. Just make sure you know what that is, and we can talk about it civilly. Hello, how you doing?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. I'm Mona Lindsay. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Mona Lindsay.
Let's have a constructive. I love that. The whole thing that guy had against you was, oh my gosh, you're gay. Like, is that a negative or a positive?
He thought I was
Let's
like,
have a.
yeah.
Yeah.
He thought I was like, right. He thought I knew everything that I'm talking about. I literally,
Wait,
I
wait,
literally know what
was-
I don't know to remain.
You know what?
curious, right?
You know what? I don't know if he understood if that was a negative comment or a positive comment.
It didn't affect
Because
me really.
sometimes people that are ignorant, that's the only thing they have to come up. Oh, you're gay. Oh my gosh, are we in the 1970s?
It's sad. It's primitive, and it's I think
It's very
man
primitive.
child.
I agree.
Man child thinking.
Like
have
if
a-
that's
we have
your
a-
word
yeah.
claim against me, oh my gosh,
It's
I would.
it's-
Yeah.
it got me really pumped. Like I'm really feeling it. I really am. and it's really interesting being in these situations.
No. Okay.
Like I'm not feeling it in a negative way, and it's just really interesting how people are. And I really wanted to like have some sort of productive dialogue with him, like understand why he's thinking this way. So we like if he challenges me,
Oh
like
my-
anyone can challenge me with whatever they have.
Intellectual conversation.
Right.
What if you come to me? Hey, you're gay. You know what? Instantly, I'm gonna be okay. Then what's your next move?
There's nothing to even.
You know what? Let's talk about a book. Let's talk about anything else other than the fact that you think that ruins your life of me sleeping with another man. Like, you don't have a big enough life than me loving another man or another woman. Like, there's nothing else in your world to this moment to speak to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's sad in a way where people.
It's a
they-
joke.
They use that as like a negative thing, and it's like I remember watching what's it called, what's with Timothy Chalamet, Call Me by Your Name, and it was
Never saw it.
it was a beautiful movie, and look, I'm not gay, but like it was really interesting just to see like a relationship like with two gay people, like it was beautiful. It was a beautiful movie. It was really well done.
You know what is beautiful? Love is beautiful. I don't care how it comes to you. I don't care if it's you, me, whoever you find. But you know what? If you want to have an intellectual comment with me or a conversation with me, let's talk about a book. Have you read Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged? You want to talk about me having butt sex with some guy? Dude, you know what? Sex is our mortal and you know what it's a way that we interact with people because we're human beings and love is sex a part of it. Who is it to describe what it should be or what it should not be?
Right.
So it's funny that guy was like, "Hey, you're gay," and I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome. Love
Well,
that."
before he was saying like I'm a know-it-all, and that's just like strange because like I was just reading comments and literally just putting my opinion out there, and literally anything I was trying to get him to say anything that I said is you're welcome to critique.
Great.
What did I say?
It's a conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Why was that your beginning line?
It's okay. But anyways, how are you doing today? It's a Sunday.
I'm doing fabulous. Oh my gosh, you know what? A Sunday is wonderful. I love having a Sunday. I live in Miami, so
Oh, nice.
you know it. Yeah, but I live in like the good part of Miami, not like in South Beach or whatever. But no, I just like to have like intelligent conversations with people. I like to talk about books. I like to talk about different things, and yeah, I have a good life, and life is fun.
Nice.
So things that I'm interested in. So I didn't read the bio before, but I just
Mhm.
kind of stopped on your life. So what are you interested in?
I love philosophy and psychology. Just understanding like those things I think is like in the realm of consciousness I think is interesting, and I'm trying to understand it more as I read into it and watch interviews of people who are in that field. I think well the whole point of my channel, it doesn't have to be about philosophy or psychology. It could be literally about literally anything. Where it's like two people can come together, have like healthy dialogues. We can like figure out what the frick
Oh my gosh,
doing
of
on
course.
this earth. What we can figure out what the frick we're doing on this earth together and progress and be
Well,
the human species.
well, I so love this about you because that's what I studied in college was psychology.
Oh,
And
whoa.
that's my kind of my same kind of philosophy in life. I feel that we all have the same. Well, first, we're all, we're not immortal. So we have this mortality.
Mhm.
So some of us look at mortality differently than others. As you've known, are you still in college or have you graduated?
I graduated in 2020, so it's been a while.
Oh, okay. So I did this little study with like people that have Down syndrome that look at life so differently. So they look at their mortality very different. Like they don't have a fear of death. So what I was studying was because of my own interest was the one thing that I was so concerned about. I was had a big fear of death. So we can talk about that maybe because if you've studied psychology, you understand that the brain doesn't die. The body will die, but the brain continues for a little bit, right?
Interesting. Okay. I haven't studied psychology. I'm just deeply fascinated with it. And I
Oh
think
my gosh. Oh, dude.
I think being introspective
Okay.
and reflective and understanding how we operate in the world with other people and understanding how they operate, I think we can be more conscious and aware of how to properly behave and act together and progress. And I think it just like it dives into philosophical, dives into like storytelling, which that's kind of what I love to get into too. Because I think we all
Okay.
tell ourselves a story, like whatever that might be. Like we all have a story we tell ourselves. But I think if we can construct
Wait.
one that's like universal, and I talk about religion sometimes too. So yeah, I talk about religion, of course.
Well, that's good.
All these different things going
Well,
and piecing together.
first up, that
yeah.
was. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
No, but I studied all religions, so that's what got me into
Oh.
psychology and whatever. So I read the Pentateuch, the Torah, the Quran, the Bible, whatever. And what I've learned is there's no one that's right and there's no one that's wrong.
Mhm.
But in my love of life, which I love life, and I'm blessed, and we are all blessed to have this life. But it's a limited time.
Mhm.
So if you live your life knowing that you are a kind and you're respecting and you appreciate everything around you, because you respected that
Mhm.
time is never on your side.
Mhm.
So I live my life with that.
Do you do
So
you do you have like are you still trying to conquer like the fear of death, or like have you already like decided like what that means for
oh
you?
no, I feel like it's gonna be freedom. No, I have no fear of death
Mhm.
because you know why? I
What's that?
can leave this life. I've not been malice to anyone. I have lived my life with love, and everyone that I love will cherish me, and then I will be cremated, and then I will be done. Because I feel like there's more inside of me than my physical being.
Okay, explain that a little bit further.
Oh, okay. So my physical being is my spiritual being is separate than my physical being.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what? It's not like I'm evolved or something like that. No, fucking no, dude. I'm so no. I don't have it all figured out. I don't want you to think that.
Right.
No, because it's just not that how life is. Life is full of difficulties and problems and shit, and you know what? And it's all coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? That's life. Would you rather be dead or would you rather deal with this shit?
Right. It's
But
like
when it's my
yeah.
time to go, it's my time to go. I'm not gonna be sad. No one's gonna mourn me. I have it all planned out. You know, cremate me, put me in a tree, let me go back, let life regenerate ourselves. Do you know
Mm.
how many billions of people that have been here on this earth before us?
Right. A lot.
Billions, dude. Billions.
If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here right now.
No, exactly. We all procreate. Some good, some bad. So does that answer your question? I'm sorry.
So it sounds like you're at peace with like it sounds like you have a love of life, and like you want to excel and do good things in life that you have right now, and that you're at peace with dying in the future. And it sounds like you're spiritual. Like what would you claim? Like, are you agnostic? Are you spiritual? Are you theist? Like
Oh,
um
definitely agnostic because I
agnostic.
right like I said at the beginning, yeah. No, I don't believe in one true, like whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
First off, read a little bit. So what I ask for everyone when they study religion, like it was so funny when I read the Dewey version of I'm like, wow, holy shit! So we should worship idols, but look back, look at the Egypt, and I'm just saying what we have written word of what people take as scripture, which I do not take.
Mm-hmm.
No, because I go deeper. No, for me, I'm very much agnostic. Do I believe in a higher power? Of course.
So you're spiritual, but like you don't know. So you're
Yeah.
agnostic.
Dude, who knows? I
So
mean,
yeah,
oh my god. Yeah.
I would say I'm agnostic too, but spiritually leaning for reasons I can get into. But I think, we can abstract ideas and use things like God as an abstraction to reach a destination together. Like, I believe it'd be interesting to talk to you more about religions, because I believe we can use this ancient kind of text in religions to like build upon, like pull pieces and pick out of there and like kind of bring to the
Oh,
back.
you're talking the Mayan and Egyptian. No, you know what? Then you're going into different gods, but you have to remember they're simple. Their deities were
Hmm.
something that they saw from the sun and the moon, but which I still actually worship. When I see the sun and the moon, when I see the sun rise and when I see the moon set, it's amazing, right? No, and I'm not challenging that. But I'm saying don't read a text unless you know from the beginning of time when that started. Millions of Egyptians, where they derive from, millions of Mayans, millions of scripture. It's not the Dead Sea fucking scrolls. Like, that's a fucking joke. If you believe the Bible as, you know what, they found the Dead Sea Scrolls in a cave, whatever.
Mhm.
And then Jesus found Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You know what? I want to find a bunch of them Egyptians, name them right? But it's not that to me. I don't mind if you worship that. If that's your gig, worship it because I'm not going to challenge you. Because I'm not going to change you.
Right, and it's not up
But
to us
I'll,
to change others. It's
yeah.
up to us to, like, I think, educate and guide people, in however ways we need to, right? But like if people want to believe in that, like it could be whatever it needs to be for them, right? I think
Right.
beliefs can get problematic if we try to force others onto to believe the same thing, right? I think when it comes to like spirituality, like it's something with the individual to discover on their own. I think this is why it's important to become agnostic to literally everything. Again, well, literally everything. Well, to because like at times people like to plant ideas into our minds, like, hey, this is what happened, this is what happened, and it's okay that we listen to those people sometimes, but we have to take it in as an individual and understand why we put that into our foundation in the first place, and then we can go forth and understand things together, right?
You know what is very smart about what you said is about understanding. But these people that believe in these organized religion and Christianity, we don't have a separation of church and state anymore. So what you're saying is like, you know what, let's so they think Muslims are sort of, unreal or crazy, worshiping Allah. And yet you're worshiping on the feet of a man's feet that was on the cross. You know what? And that's not even biblical. If you go back and take the Hebrew version of the King James version, these people don't even understand what they believe.
In what ways, in your opinion?
No, it's not even my opinion. So there's the King James version, but there's a oh my god, what is it called when they translate from Hebrew to the King James? It's the James Boyd. It's called the James Boyd, and it's the prophecy of what happens, whatever, and it changes the whole New Testament. But I want people to understand what they believe.
Right.
So, educate yourself is what I'm wanting people to understand.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
not, yeah. And I don't have anger against religion. I just ask them every single time I go, what is your doctrine? What is your basis? And what do you believe in?
Right. Because I think I was indoctrinated into Catholicism as a Catholic, and so I understand Christianity a little bit at least. But the more I've thought about it and watched debates or like listened to other people talk about it from atheist perspectives or even some theist perspectives, like it doesn't quite make sense how they define their God. Because if it's like all knowing, all perfect, all good, all powerful, omnipresent,
Right.
whatever, like it doesn't correlate to what we see at least
Omnipotent.
in the old
Right.
omnipotent, yeah,
Right.
in the Old Testament definitely, but even what we see in reality. So I think we ought to like understand what we mean by God in the first place before we apply those things to it, because it contradicts if we look at life or the Bible sometimes. So I don't
Well, you know what?
I don't subscribe to Christianity, but
Yeah.
I believe the idea of Jesus is true, and we should hold on to that very
You know
strongly.
what it is, and can I say this to you without upsetting a whole bunch of whatever? It's a moral code. It's a moral code to guide you, how you should act, how you should be. So first off, you said a few words that were amazing. But you know, the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible, explained everything. The New Testament is all about Jesus. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, you know what? They were giving their side of Jesus.
Mhm.
So if God had to send his only son, his begotten son, to die on a cross, but he made us in his likeness. Oh, what? I mean, why did that have to happen?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
every other religion, like let's talk Judaism. No, it it the the next apostles, whatever. Yeah, okay. So that was something that happened. They saw it, they witnessed it. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. I
In
was
Juda-
not there.
so in Judaism, they witnessed Jesus' crucifixion too. Is that what you're alluding to, or it's saying?
No, they did, but it was not the reason that it was not that he saved us by the blood of his sins. You understand that, right? Yeah.
Okay. I don't know much about Judaism, so
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
no,
they
you're
don't
good.
believe in Jesus. No
Like
Jesus.
even not as a person, like not historically.
No, yeah. No, they think he was a great person. No, yeah, no Judaism. No, they're apostle. Yeah, no, yeah. It's sort of Hold on, I've been drinking a little bit,
You're
but
okay.
no, Jews do not believe in Jesus. So yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of these religions are just ancient people trying to understand what the fuck the world is and how we like progress together. And this is why I say we ought to like take these different ideas and pick pieces out of it and be like, hey, this is something to hold on to. This is something we shouldn't hold on to, and let's progress and go forth. And this is why I remain agnostic, so we can like bridge the gap between different beliefs and ideologies to the point where we can create a story together, like a new story. Like maybe that's like optimistic thinking, but I believe there's a way we can frame it for people to understand for every kind of religion that they're in. Because I think I've had well, a couple weeks ago, I had 4 people on the panel, and one was an atheistic Satanist, which sounds worse than it is. There's a couple theists, an agnostic, and me. And we were all like supporting each other, and it was a beautiful thing. And like a guy was even saying like, "This is such a beautiful thing we're seeing on TikTok, right?" And it was. And I think people understand what they like, the idea of harmony, right? If that can happen in our lifetime, great. But if we can progress, or if we can pave the path so people in the future can reach that, I think we ought to have these dialogues and talk about different religions and how we can build upon them to tell ourselves a story that matters for everyone. I think it can be done.
Oh my God! Like,
Oh no. No. Damn it. Ah. What happened there? What happened? Maybe her phone died. Damn it. Okay. Should we stay on live, Brady? What do you guys think? There's 3 people watching. It's been an hour and 13 minutes. I have a lot on my mind. What's been going on? Simberly? Dan. Oh, Dan. Sorry, I didn't see people in the. I didn't see there's people in the guest box. My bad. Mr. Dan. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. So yeah, what's been on your mind lately?
So actually, I want to talk to you some stuff in relation to your conversation you were just having.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it's going to be in like 2 parts, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And if, by the way, I have a fan going. Do you hear that?
No, you're totally fine. You're fine.
Okay, cool. So one thing is you are going to see a rise in Christianity in America, and the why is very important. And the reason I think why is twofold. One, they are gonna be just more blatant and not and then not engaging in conversations because they've been hand waved as superstitious for so long, and they know that their philosophical apology or theologies, right? They know that they're going to land dead on arrival because the viewpoint of their opposition is, oh, you believe in a magical sky daddy, you're a fantasy believer. So it's going to be part and parcel because of the hand waving, right? And then I also think it's because from what I've seen, people are getting more blatant about the end results of their viewpoints to a person who is who identifies as a secularist, and let's say they also believe in classical liberalism. Their God is their own personal autonomy, but they don't accept that it is the case that that's their God.
What do you mean by
They don't
accept that? The case it's
Like they would refuse to call, like, to a degree, I think ideologies are religions, and in that way their self-autonomy is their God, and to condemn them of the same fanaticism of ideology as religious people, they would hand wave.
But so them being like Christians, or I'm not tracking here.
Oh,
Or,
so like I'm just talking, yeah, the general Christian, like, yeah, like you have the Christians, and then you have like not their like religious opposition, but let's say like purely like secular, like borderline like a general progressive views, secular views that reject religion. Their religion is personal self autonomy and a will to power of what you want to see happen in your life. And that is their religion, but they bash other religions.
And you think because like there is these oppositions, like these like people going against and people not listening and just wanting to be in their like delusions, you could maybe say, like they're just going to rise into power more. Like what makes you think that more people are going to come under Christianity because of that?
Well, that's one reason, right? I think you're going to see people becoming more blatant and outspoken about their differences just because of the hand waving, calling people superstitious. That's one reason, but also I don't know if you follow apologetics at all, or any sort of theology conversations and debates and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to, and I've been digesting it for 2 years. I've actually seen a shift in how people are talking about Christianity, and there's an idea that's been rejected. Are you familiar with C.S. Lewis?
I don't know what his position is, or what he leans to, but I know of the name.
Well, he was an Anglican author. So in like the general non-denominational world and in the Protestant world, he's really well liked. And he had a book called Mere Christianity.
Mere?
And it was like MERE.
Oh, mere.
Like mere.
Okay. I'll look it up.
Yeah, like mere conservatism, mere secularism, like it's a boiled down to its base components concept, right?
Okay.
And that was the narrative that has sort of been the mainstream in American Christianity.
Okay.
But now you're seeing an uprise with these Christian denominations pointing at each other and standing on principle. So they're not just saying, oh, yeah, you guys, don't believe in infant baptism. We do. They're like, no, you don't believe it and we do. Like there's a tone change in how they're engaging.
Like trying to understand what isn't.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so like when them going through their apologetics and their philosophy, right? There's been a massive tone change in even how Christians are disagreeing amongst Christians. So naturally, I think Christians in America will adapt and change the way that they interact with non-religious secularists. And I think it's going to be a boldness. It's not going it's going to be like, yeah, you think we should just be shoved to the side for our esoteric beliefs? Well, we think you guys believe in nothing, literally. So if it's just a wrestle for power, we want to be the ones in power because you've made it apparent that we will not be able to live by our principles.
Interesting. I think we ought to do a better job at understanding each other, and to the point where like we can understand how a person can become Christian, or we can understand how a person can become atheist, to the point where we can articulate both views, to the point where we can have a civil dialogue about what and what isn't, right? And I think that's what I'm trying to do on this live, is having like a healthy dialogue between people. And I think the more we model this out, the more people can become, better at speaking their minds about what it means to be an atheist or a Christian or agnostic or whatever it might be, right? So I that's one thing I strive for on this channel, and to just have open conversations. And did I explain? There's like 4 people. There's like an atheistic Satanist, two theists, and an agnostic, and me. And we were all coming together, just like talking about harmony, or like what that means. And it was really beautiful. So I think there's ways we can approach people and see them as humans and nothing below, right, or nothing above, and just like go forth and progress together. And I'm optimistic about that. The more I am live, right? Because like this conversation you're having with me is impacting me in a way where I'm articulating my voice differently than I have in the past, and it helps me understand myself even more. So it's like a ripple effect. Like we start small and we keep building, and like you'll go on live with someone else, and you'll educate them about whatever it might be. And I think the more we do this in a way where if it's opposition or a different viewpoint, if we engage with them as humans and we don't react, we just like, hey, like, help me understand. Oh, that's how you see it. Oh, and we put puzzle pieces together with each other. And I think there's a way to progress by doing that. It's going to be slow, of course, but it's interesting that you say Christianity is going to build because of the opposition. And I don't know what to think about that.
It's an idea that I've come to because I was reading a book called Characteristics, and it's a 3-part series. It was very popular in the early 1800s, late 1700s.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people around that time, it was like a bestseller, right? It was that book was being printed very vastly in England, and it was even present in the colonies. This would be literature that would be very common day. Like in the 1820s, 1830s, it would be table talk discussion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in it, there's this lower aristocrat addressing another aristocrat about the issues of the day. And he's talking about debates, and he's talking about people's zealotry, right? And he made the point. He's like, you and me, sir, as good Protestants, both probably know that if it wasn't for the zealousness of the Catholics, we wouldn't have been confident enough in our situation to rebel. And so it's sort of like the Barbra Streisand effect. You heard of that, right?
No, explain that what that is.
Oh, so there's this lady, Barbra Streisand. She didn't want her house on Google Maps because she didn't want people knowing where she lived, but because she took it to court and lost, now a bunch of people on Google Maps knew where she lived.
So
it's like
that you don't intend happen.
Right.
Anyways.
Yeah, so like it's the opposite effect of what you wanted. Like the Catholics suppressing the Protestant Reformation only emboldened them more to commit to their ideals. And that's something I see happening in our modern society as it continues to get more secular. You're not secular as like a-religious.
Okay.
Hyper individualist as well, right? As it gets more towards that, you push people with religious convictions to stare at it, and then essentially to stare at the other end, which is a cliff, and they're deciding like, okay, defining moments coming up. What's our point of view? Like we're getting pressed harder. Like it's initiating the zeal that like progressives and liberals wanted to get rid of in the first place.
Right. Where do you lean? Like, are you atheist or agnostic?
Oh no, I'm religious. I'm an Eastern Orthodox Christian.
Oh, whoa. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's not. Sorry, I was assuming that you didn't believe in this because of what might be happening. Interesting. Okay, so I'm agnostic, but I lean spiritually. but I don't
Hmm.
subscribe to Christianity, even though I was indoctrinated into Catholicism. But I don't believe in
I
that.
was a former
But
Roman Catholic too.
but I believe the idea of Jesus is very important, and we should hold on to that and take that with us in the future.
Well, I think there is a very you yourself are very nuanced in the sense of you like the prescriptions of Christ, right?
The idea
But the
is very fascinating.
yeah, yeah. But the um but your view isn't what's necessarily putting gas on the fire of zeal of believers.
It's
It
like
is
atheists, right?
it is like the blatant, like it's like the hand waving people, like, oh, you believe in the sky, daddy, even like, disregarding the fact that philosophy is like the building block to any theology, and so it's just as philosophical to propose a creator or to propose no creator, and so they kind of hand
I,
wave them.
I see it in a way where it's like we can use it as like a tool, essentially. Like we can abstract God as like a thing, and we can talk about what that means together and whatever that means, and then we can like reach a destination together. I think it's the stories we tell ourselves that help humans progress and survive as humans. And I think God is a, or like religion is something we've always kind of tried to make meaning of, and what is this life, and what is suffering, and why do we suffer, and what's going on, and like what's the fucking point of being on this earth together if we can't talk about our different ideas and bridge the gaps? Because I think there's a lot of truths behind why people believe in what they believe in. I think people don't just believe in shit for no reason, right? And it's we have to understand why like a theist is believing in such a way. We have to understand why an atheist is believing in such a way, to where we can like
Hmm.
talk to them as humans and be like, hey, it's okay that you don't see eye to eye, but we can tell a story together. We can be storytellers, essentially. This is how I talk to atheists. To where there's a confused agent upstairs potentially, and the agent believes it's a god, but it's like running through all of us as as the technology, we can say, and it's up to us as humans to teach the confused agent not to control us, essentially. And this is just one idea, and we can play it out, and we can see how that works. But I think we ought to like bridge the gap between different ideologies and religions so we can progress together. And I think we can do that with storytelling,
well
interactive
well i
storytelling.
well I
Oh, you're out of the app.
my bad, I went teacup. I think the challenging of an idea is always what shapes it originally. Like, for example, all of Christian doctrine in the first 1,000 years was always a response to a contest of doctrine. So it essentially is like, um, until it's challenged, it wasn't made explicit with canonization. So, for example, most Christians, well, I'm going to say this because I'm bold enough to believe what I say. All Christians believed in the Trinity. A fundamental concept of Christianity is belief in the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. That was the first thing contested in the early millennium. You had a guy called Arius who had Arianism, and essentially his point of view was there was a point in time in which the Son was not. That's an issue in Christianity because the mainstream opinion is he's co-eternal with God, right? And so they didn't put it on paper until it was challenged, right? And so I don't think challenge of a religion is inherently bad because it's going to get you to, it's going to make you articulate exactly what you mean.
Good, you're on it. You know, and that gives me a bit of a feeling where I think, if thoughts resonate in such a way, like it wasn't a strong feeling, but I felt like shivers, like a little tiny ting of shivers, because like what you said makes sense. And I think it's we we can be at different odds against each other, right? And maybe we're not always facing each other to the point where if we input or hear something, it makes us think about something differently to the point where we're able to progress. But if we're the ones that are higher or like more educated, maybe, or whatever it might be, this could be very broad. It's up to us to like bring the rest of us up to this level too, right? It's like with Plato's, I think it was Plato's cave. Like there's like the 2D, like two-dimensional shadows on the wall where like
Hmm.
the cavemen inside were just staring at their shadows and like they thought this was the world. But when one of the
And then
cavemen
they
went out,
came out and it was totally different.
right, and it's like it's up to that caveman that went out into the world and it's like, hey, there's three dimensions out here, guys. Let's come on out. Don't be scared. It's like up you're out of the Appian, but it's up to people who have this kind of knowledge to like bring people up with them, right? But I think the problem with thinking you have the knowledge is I think sometimes thinking you're right. And I think this is why I go back to
Mhm.
being agnostic, because I think we ought to, well, for me, I know what I don't know to remain curious, open-minded, and understanding. And I put that in my foundation and I go forth and question people and be curious and what's that, and we get together by being curious and we progress by being curious and and I'm rambling, but does any of that resonate?
No, I'm getting what you're saying, but you did bring up something interesting to me, which is when I hear people talking about why they're agnostic, it's usually the justification is ignorance, and I don't mean that in an assaulting way. The justification is, how can I be 100% sure? Like, how do I, like, I don't have absolute epistemic certitude in this.
Mm,
Therefore, I'm going, until I have epistemic certitude, I will make no prescription.
yeah.
It's a plea to ignorance, in which I understand. If a person doesn't have convictions, they will, they're not going to, they're not going to throw it in the, they're not going to pitch their voice in. They're not going to give their take if they're not absolute, right?
Right. Well, it depends. Like
Uh,
for me, like I lean spiritually and I practice this in my own way. I don't project it on others for them to believe exactly what I believe, but I practice spirituality in my own way, and I see signs in my own way that I can't explain to other people. It's not up to me to tell people exactly how I believe unless they want to hear, right? And that's why I go back to being agnostic, because I don't know if the goddesses I'm talking to, or gods, or whatever, infinite amount of gods, how many, we can decide that together. But for me, there's something going on where I externalize my thoughts or my mind, and there's different things going on where I can use them as characters in a sense to better myself and reflect and be introspective, and it goes all over the place. But I pray before meals in a way that I was taught by holding my hands like this, but I don't do the sign of the cross. I don't know why, because I'm just not Christian. But I pray, and prayer is a way to like reflect and be grateful and to think and understand the situation better. And I think that's a good practice, right? Even if it's not real. So like I'll give you this example. Do you believe
well, I
that?
mean, everybody who converts to any religion often, like, let's say, as an example, Scientology. I think it's, I have my opinion on it, but regardless of my opinion, you still have people who, because they went into a strict religious practice, will say, "Oh, it changed my life. I got my family in order." Like, you always get a similar to AA fixing of your life, right? Like, you get the response sort of like someone who went to AA. They're like, I started doing this. I became a Muslim, or I became a Sikh, or I became a Hindu, and then X, Y, and Z started happening in my life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that isn't a testament to those individual religions, but that is a testament to self-discipline, which
Yeah.
all those are making a tool of, which is like the whole point of religion is to regulate yourself before a greater ideal.
Yes. I like that idea.
And so, like, I wanted to throw one more thing at you, because I'm not trying to dominate your panel for too long.
No, you're totally fine. You're the only person up here right now, so we can talk as long as you
Okay.
want until I get tired.
And so like, one thing that was very appealing about Eastern Orthodoxy to me was the plead to ignorance of the human intellect.
Hmm.
What some people will say is, if they're comparing Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy, they'll say, well, Catholicism is more scholastic and that the East is more mystic, right? And so an example of this that you could say is, in Roman Catholicism, they have a doctrine called transubstantiation. They linguistically lay out how the bread and the wine become the body and blood of Christ, right, in the Eucharist on the altar. right? They go through all the steps and they'll say during this step that happens, during this step that happens, during that step this happens, right?
This is within Catholicism, right?
Within Catholicism, it's a very laid out, straightforward process.
Right.
But if you were to go into Eastern Orthodoxy and you asked what's going on with the Eucharist, you would get a simple spiritual answer of our Lord is truly present on the gifts on the altar.
So you don't actually believe that Jesus is like the Eucharist is the flesh or the wine is the blood? It's just like a
Well,
spirit.
so that is the issue that Catholicism put on its. That's the issue they shot themselves in the foot with that, because when they said it be like it when they put it as a process, right, and they said it really does become. We also have the point of view. It truly is the body and blood of Christ, right? But it is not a mere physical transformation.
Interesting.
It is inherently spiritual. So I guess you could say, because we're not so legalistic about laying it out, we would say it is the glorified medium into which Christ's essence is imbued.
So it's not literal. It's just like more of a spiritual kind of like understanding of like
Right.
this thing represents something important. It's just not literal like Catholics. Because like I would go back to Catholics and I would say, like, so are you guys cannibalists then? Like, are you guys just really?
So yeah, like so we both believe, right? They believe it's the body and blood. We believe it's the body and blood, right? But the thing is, when they put forward the doctrine of transubstantiation, it gave, with lack of a better word, people who are literalists a hard on to say, oh, so you think it like physically changes and like there's a cell structure, like are we eating his toe, we eating his shin, or we eating his pubic hair? Well, we eating, man, it really becomes his body, right? And so they in order to try to attempt to become more clear, they shot themselves in the foot by allowing anybody with a critique that sort of avenue, which wasn't intended. They made it more complicated when they're trying to clarify it. They should have left it as nuanced as we retained it, which is he is truly present in the gifts on the altar. They are sanctified, on the altar. They are truly his body. They are truly his blood. There was no need beyond that to clarify, because it already kind of has the whole idea is baked into the cake. These are two mediums into which grace is imbued, right? They went a step further, trying to list out the steps, and then they got a bunch of literalists all hot in the head over that.
So, yeah, going back to what you were saying about like Christianity rising up because of these like opposite beliefs, like you guys aren't like really coming to agreement within all these denominations. Like, which denomination becomes like the one that like supersedes like all of them, if in your opinion?
So like who do I think is coming out on top?
Yeah.
Oh, well, so I don't think, right? The only thing I think is going to change about that, right, is you're going to see non-denominationals fade out, and you're going to see like old school forms of Protestantism, like Baptists, Lutherans, Episcopalians, Anglicans. They're going to have a congregation surge. And then beyond the fact that non-denominationals will be kind of sizzled out because mere Christianity, that concept's fizzling out, these people, because they're standing on principle, right? Because they have that flavor in their mouth of standing on principle religiously. Okay, now you know what? We just separated from those guys over this, and we're not going to stand on policy for voting. So you're going to see a larger Christian voter turnout because they have the flavor of standing in principle in their mouths. And then they're going to coalition build, because they may not agree that babies need to be baptized or not, but they agree on what a baby is. And they may not agree on the roles of women, because you could have like a Calvinist who thinks women shouldn't be able to speak in church, and you could have a place down in and then you could have a Baptist who like has women teach in Sunday school, not seeing an issue with it, but they're both going to vote in unison on principle on the social culture war.
So you see like um like church becoming part of like the government, like too, like
Well,
in
no,
our
no, I'm
society.
just saying because they are naturally in their disagreements amongst each other, standing on principle, you will see a larger reflection of that politically because the personal is the political. So by proxy of them standing more in principle amongst themselves, they will stand on principle in coalition build
Hmm.
on their principles more so than they have.
Hmm. Interesting.
Because if you've for example, if you've split up your congregation, right? So you had like a non-denominational congregation, issue hits you guys, boom, you guys pull to two sides. You just put your social, like your anchor in this world for your morality was put up for debate, and you stood on principle and reshaped it to absolute doctrine purity. And then you're going to compromise with the opposition? No, you're going to vote on principle because what the heck, you just did it in the most personal way you could.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, there's much more to learn from me when it comes to different denominations and what they all entail with each other, or like differ too. It's just interesting hearing you talk about this because I haven't really talked with anyone about this idea that um, that this would happen in the first place. So it's interesting just listening to you.
Well, I mean, you have the general talking points of like you have you have a lot more people claiming Christian nationalists now,
Right.
and they just think we will win hearts and minds based on the merit of our message, and that's really the only mainstream talking of that scene in the area, right? Like you see them out there with their opinion, but I'm talking about like I have an inside view into how they disagree amongst each other, and I think that will blossom in the culture war because of one, they're standing on policy in response to each other, but then compile it with the Barbara Streisand effect of often you putting so much attention on something and trying to snuff it out is going to bring it back 10 times stronger.
Hmm.
So I think a combination of those two factors is going to result in a larger, it's going to be on the chopping block more and more often, essentially. It's going to be downstream. Like these cultural things are going to be on the chopping block of the society more often by proxy of these things happening.
Like what's interesting about like listening to atheist debates, right? Um, at least like have you followed Joel and Mezzo on TikTok?
I want to Joel who?
Joel Reads Bible. That's his TikTok name. And Mezzo.
I've might have seen them in passing.
They're hilarious. They're funny, but they also have a lot of good points too. That the Christians don't even like always have the answer, if that makes sense. So like when it comes to like if you define your God as in like all good, all perfect, all knowing, uh, omnipresent. What else did I miss? All knowing. I said that already, but like that doesn't always correlate to what we see, at least in the Old Testament or even in reality sometimes too. And they have good points, and I think it's good like to criticize like the most important book that there is, and have scrutiny to it to where we can like intellectually understand what that means, even though we might not have all the answers, but it's good to like be skeptical to a certain degree, I think. And I think they've been kind of persuading people that just watch too. So like I think there's like this whole thing with Christianity and them understanding with each denomination, but there's also the other force of like atheists, of course, or different beliefs where they're putting these ideas to the test, and it doesn't quite correlate to what we see in the books or in reality.
Well, I would posit in response to that. When people see a disconnect between the New Testament and the Old Testament, is I always encourage them read Old Testament, then New Testament, and then read New Testament in order again, and then read it into Old Testament things, right? So you do it chronologically and then reverse chronologically, right?
Right.
And then a lot more things make sense. For example, like people will say, well, it's kind of weird that the God that preaches mercy and kindness was putting curses on the Egyptians for having Israelite slaves. Like, why didn't he? Like, he couldn't have been more graceful about that, right? And then, like, a simple response from me would be like, "Hey, you notice how over all the homes of the Israelites that lived and followed the commands, they smeared lamb's blood above the door. Christ is the eternal Lamb. They would not go as far as to acknowledge that sort of what do you say, relationship to it. They'll just say it's incongruent, or for the fact of people say that the New
No, the
Testament has
ultimate.
a
Whoa, hold up,
Okay,
hold up, hold
sorry.
up, hold up. Let him finish the sentence.
Go
and
ahead. Sorry.
then some people will say that the New Testament has a concept of cannibalism that is not made reference in the Old Testament, right? I've heard this critique, and then they also ignore the fact that in the Old Testament, the sacrifice after being put onto the altar was carved up and eaten. And so, for Christ to be the eternal Lamb, which was an animal of sacrifice, the pure Lamb for sacrifice to eternity, if he was in fact deemed that, it would make sense to have a parallel of him saying, "This bread is my body, this blood is my wine." It would make sense to have a parallel that calls back to the Old Testament type. This is something called typology.
Right. Hey, Mana, are you driving?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Are
Are
you?
you asking because I've
Yeah,
been drinking?
No, are you driving?
Am I driving?
I hear car sounds. Or are you just outside?
Oh, no, I live in Miami, so no, I
Okay,
live
no,
on the bridge to go to North Beach, so that's why the cars you're hearing. Sorry.
okay.
So,
Sorry, Dan. I brought Mara up because she was talking earlier this live, and she had different takes. So I think it's interesting to like bring people up with different beliefs to just like talk about this
I
civilly.
have yes, and we could talk civilly about of course, there were 4 people on the planet and one murdered the other one. So no, the sacrifice of the human or the sacrifice of the lamb, when God put that before Abraham and everything, um, there are people that take that so literally that it's upsetting. But you know what, people that bring the book of Daniel with the book of Revelation, that bring the books of prophecy, and I'm like, you know what, you can make a book appear as it looks like prophesying. So as we can, the Quran, the Torah, and all books in history. When you leave certain text out of every one of them, you can control a society by religion.
That is the point of a moral prescription, is to
Exactly.
control society with the whole point of a moral system is to impose a good and bad view of things.
Exactly.
And that's not and I think to prescribe morals is better than to prescribe none.
Well, because if you know what, Christianity is controlled by those morals, which is amazing. Well, thou shalt not cleave thy brother's wife. Thou shalt not kill. You know what? I mean, there are certain things that okay are morally acceptable. But I feel like people that believe in these books need that moral compass to guide them. Because if they did, they would feel like there's going to be a punishment. You're going to hell.
I don't think it's dependent upon fear mongering. I think it is dependent upon one thing, which is if there is no absolute good or bad, then nothing anybody does that you just don't happen to like is bad, objectively, right? And so it's a battle between a concept that morality is what the human perception is capable of drawing out of the universal standards. And what I mean by the universal standards, people believe
Your
moral
soul.
systems are part of the universal truth. And so you could say moral systems are what humans claim to be the human mind's capability of feeling out from the universal truth. But then you have people that are, they don't believe, like people believe in total, what's the term? Subjectivism. And to some people, because they have no standard, and you have a standard, they are offended because you have created a standard that they fall short of.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree. But like when it
My
comes to
mother,
And so it would be easier to not have any standard at all to them.
my mother believes she's Pentecostal, so she speaks in tongues. She believes if she cuts her hair or wears pants, she's going to hell. And she has that legitimate fear in her life because Christianity has created that within her that if she wears pants, she's going to hell. So you don't believe that religion is a control mechanism of
Well, religion, if you believe in any standard, requires an authority mechanism. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. Like if, for example, right, you'll have Catholics and Protestants, and they'll have this little back and forth where a Catholic will say, you guys say, well, my interpretation is this, and my interpretation is that. Between the two of you,
the
both
Douay
claiming you have-
Bible. Yeah.
right.
King
So
James.
between the two of you claiming that you have the right interpretation, and I ask you, how do you have the right interpretation? And you both say, the Holy Spirit guides me. The Catholic then says to the Protestant, what's the tiebreaker? How am I supposed to know whether or not it's him or you that has the tiebreaker? And so
Right.
what they say is, we can't rely entirely on the human intellect to resolve these things. And so what some people believe in is normative authority.
You know what they believe is that we're not intelligently acceptable to control our own selves. So we need someone to guide us. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I can make a comparison to how they would make their argument. They would say, is it up for you to interpret the theme and story of Harry Potter up to your own liking, or do you want to stay as close to the author as possible? Then everybody most likely says, I want to stay as close to the author as possible. And so then they would retort, well, if in the situation
And then if
between
you
Christians,
challenge that, yeah.
and then they would say to each other, amongst Christians who are now questioning the normative authority of like who decides what's right in the Bible, they would answer, okay, who compiled the Bible? Because it's not a singular book, it's a collection of books. And there's a canon of like what is considered gospel and scripture, right? They got clear lines of what is and is not religiously inspired text.
It's not what they're reading, though. The King James Version and the Dead Sea Scrolls are not the same thing. So when I asked my mother that, so this is what I want to like express to my mom or to anybody. They're living in fear of a God that will discipline them if they do something wrong. And I'm like, you really want to worship somebody like that's going to send you to hell for wearing pants?
Well, personally, I'm of the opinion God is not that legalistic.
I
Like
agree.
if you believe in a gracious God, He's not gonna throw your life away because you wore pants.
Oh, for sure, dude.
And the thing is, you said she's Pentecostal.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's sincere in her beliefs
I
and
love
she's
that for
very
her.
sincere in her efforts. But the thing is, Pentecostals are new on the scene. They're not exactly historically based. They're not like, if we took a snapshot of the timeline of Christianity
Yeah,
and it
they
was
were not.
12 feet long, they'd be about a toenail's length. They're very new on the scene. And what I mean by that is Pentecostals,
I do
I'm
know
sure,
what you mean by that. It's
yeah,
very new.
right. And it was founded, and then they don't, what I, in my opinion, as an Eastern Orthodox Christian, they don't have the answer to the normative authority because they'll say, well, I'm a Bible believing Christian. I was like, oh, so you believe the authority of the Bible? Yes, sir, I do. I'm a Bible believing Christian. I go, okay, well, who gave you the Bible? Because
Yeah.
the Bible is a compilation. Who had the authority to give it to you? Right?
I know.
Who had the
What is
authority to tell
yeah.
you which books you ought believe in? Why don't you
Yeah.
have a bigger list or a
You know,
smaller list?
read the
They assume
translation
authority
from
in the book.
Hebrew, read the Boyd version, read some of the translations. But you know what I say to my mother and what I say to people? If your religion works for you, I love you for that. I want you to have that. I want you to believe that. I want you to have that peace in your soul if that's what you need. But you know what? It's just not for me. I'm sorry. I need more of an explanation.
So when it comes to like the normative, what's the normative, like normative, what do you call it?
Normative authority.
When it comes to normative authority, is that what you would claim as being like objectively true, like with God's like mind?
Right. So that is the tie-breaking standard that you need to use. So like
That is exactly.
so like I said, we were using the Bible canon question, which is like, you have a person that says, I'm a Bible believer and all I do is follow the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
They ignore and presume. They ignore the history of the Bible and how it came to be, and they presume it just fell out of the sky as is. And like I said, that's like rejecting J.K. Rowling's story meaning of Harry Potter,
I see.
which is, I like totally taking it as like, oh, Lord Voldemort's the good guy, like just going that route. It's like, you need to pay credence to the people that gave you the document that you say leads your life. You at least need to understand how it came to be before you start talking about the meanings of it.
Exactly.
And the thing is, like, and this is my point of view. And how do you say your full name? Mona Lindsay. Oh, I'm just gonna say Lindsay. Lindsay, you'll probably agree with this.
Yes, I do.
The most prevalent form of Christianity in America is non-denominational. Is non-denominational, which is a downstream effect of Protestantism coming out of Europe in the 1500s. Protestantism is the initial break point where you have people rejecting a concept of normative authority, because Luther and Zwingli and not Locke, I'll think Knox,
No,
Knox,
no,
and he,
it's not.
all those guys, they
Good try.
believed in something called a
Remember the book of Enoch that was left out of the King James version when they brought him out of the when they got the scrolls. First off, I went to Bible college, studied the Quran, studied the King James, studied the NIV, studied everything. But you know what was left from Hebrew to English conversation? They left out, and so did the Douay version, was the book of Mary Magdalene and the book of Enoch. And so if you want to go and study something, and I'm not against Christianity, I'm not. I'm an agnostic, which means I believe in something. But let's educate ourselves and understand the books of what happened before you and what happened that was presented to you. So when you read a Bible, understand that you were limited because the translation from Hebrew study. You know what? I always ask people that read the King James, go study Boyd. Go study some of these prophesiers. Go study them. Then it will make you more crazy. Because when you realize what is translated from Hebrew to English was not what was said in the Bible.
Now, to build on what she was saying here, that leads into. Actually, I want to finish my point. Then I want to add on to what you just said. All those guys during the Reformation period, they believe in a very individualistic right to private interpretation. They believed in this concept called I forget the Latin term for it, but essentially is nobody can bind or loose your conscience on a teaching. Right? That's a concept they believe in when it comes to reading the Bible, is nobody can bind or loose my interpretation on a teaching or
But
doctrine.
then why would you believe in it?
Exactly. So you would imagine, right? This guy, Martin Luther, was a Catholic, right? He was a monk. He was a monk, dude. Like a monk believes in doctrines, like you have your whole day is really strict prayers and fasting, right? You believe in something absolute, don't you? But then you tie in to the Reformation. Okay, they had some good points for running separate from Catholic Church. Catholic Church was abusing, but I don't think you should have the concept of rejecting normative authority, which is a right to a private conscience. Nobody can bind or loose my conscience on any teaching, which means everything is now up for debate. Congratulations, you just started from ground zero, and which is why Luther would be dismayed to see the modern day state of Lutheranism, because modern day Lutheranism, Luther thought Mary was sinless. They don't, right? Modern day Lutherans perceive the bread and wine as just symbols. He thought it was truly the body and blood of
Do
Christ.
they love Mary Magdalene as a true prophet of Jesus or no?
I mean, they were. Wait, are you talking about modern or?
No, I'm talking about anything. Do you believe Mary Magdalene, who was a prophet of Jesus? No, I'm just asking because you were talking a lot of good stuff, that which I understand, but you understand Mary Magdalene was, with Jesus and prophesied a lot of things, and her book was left out of the Bible. But I'm gonna let you continue, my friend.
Yeah. But so you would really question, like, once you see the end result of the concept of nobody can bind or loose my conscience, it's just like, okay, dude, if nobody can bind or loose my conscience on anything, why I listen to you, guy, telling me to not let anybody bind or loose my conscience on anything? Congratulations, every debate, everything that has been there, everyone like wiped their brow and said, we got that sorted. I'm glad we don't have to deal with this question anymore. Congratulations, you just opened the window. Everything is now up for argument. Everything is up for debate. Like, what the heck? Goober. That's Goober. Like that's like somebody starting a brand new religion and saying to the congregants, "Hey, by the way, you shouldn't trust anybody when it comes to spiritual matters. You should totally trust individually yourself." Meanwhile, trying to influence people.
We're just sticking to the books of the Bible. We're just not talking about that shit, dude. Yeah, where's going with that?
Like, I don't like, Brady. What do you think? Do you think it would make sense to do that in that situation?
I see where you're coming from with it. I would say with how I came to be with being agnostic but spiritually leaning, I think it's good to like kind of question everything again in a sense to understand what it means for yourself. So I don't know if I'm understanding his logic there with Martin Luther, right?
But you know what? I'm open to anything, and I'm always open to educate myself, right?
Well, he was giving a prescription of how to do things while telling people that you shouldn't let anybody bind and loose your conscience on a teaching or doctrine. While meanwhile
I
prescribing.
don't, you know what? I think you're going way off on a tangent that I'm not sure what's happening. So,
I just think that in and of itself, at the birth of the concept of Protestantism, was an ideological fallacy. Like, how do you prescribe anything to anybody while saying, by the way, no prescription to you is binding?
yeah,
I can see that.
exactly.
I can see that. But also on the flip side, like for like God, for each individual, like it's like personal journey, isn't it? For them to like discover like what that means for themselves in a way, right?
I
Dude,
mean,
I'm never trying to explain somebody else's journey. I'm just trying to explain to people as I know and studied scripture for 8 years of my life. And I'm not telling anybody that anyone's wrong or anyone's right. Dude, I've not died yet. I don't fucking know what's right or what's wrong. But I've got to tell you, I want to say how I believe, but I'm never going to tell somebody that somebody's wrong or somebody's right. My friend, never in my life will I ever tell that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting hearing about like the normative. What's it called again? Sorry,
normative authority.
authority.
No, you're good.
Normative
fine.
authority. I was gonna say normative objective, but like the objective being what God is, right? And you know,
So when people are talking about normative authority, they usually mean a moral authority. You usually only hear that sort of term
Yeah,
in like
exactly.
apologetic sphere, but you could use it. You could adopt it for other things, like for example, the normative authority to the judicial process is the Constitution.
No, it's always about judging you and what is morally right or what is morally wrong. There's a certain thing in society, there's a certain thing that people say that's wrong or right.
Right, and so like you're only going to run across this term within the religious apologetics theology sphere, really.
I see.
Yeah.
But like it's essentially what is the tiebreaker? What is the standard? Like the golden eagle that the Roman legions followed. That's actually where we get the term standard.
Yeah,
what is the standard?
Yeah, what is that?
That's
for
what
you?
that is what normative authority is like. Yeah.
Would you say for me, since I'm agnostic and I'm not Christian, well, spiritually leaning, so I have my own like beliefs, but like, would you say like I'm like I don't have like the normative authority or like the understanding of what is objective? It's like just subjective and whatever I experience isn't like it's not like the true.
You know what my go-to is? Let's go in peace. Let's go in peace. Because there's no argument that I can do. And you know what, it sometimes it's like so redundant that I'm like, you know what, and then I argue with people that I think sometimes they make me feel stupid. And I'm like, sometimes like, I go in peace. And you know what, that's the Catholic or whatever, because I just can't give enough. I'm like, it's an argument that I cannot complete.
Brady, can you restate the question?
So like me being agnostic but spiritually leaning, but not a Christian, right? And since you have like a normative authority or like what's objectively true based on your book, like would you say like for me like I'm not morally like what's the right word like there's nothing.
You're damned to fucking hell.
No, I would say because you don't subscribe to any system, it would be impossible for you to have a tie-breaking authority on any issue. Yeah, so like the normative authority is like what's the tiebreaker on interpretation, right? That's what normative authority is. So like if you between Sunni and Shia, they have normative authority in which they debate, right? Between Catholics and Orthodox, we appeal to our normative authority because you're agnostic, because you don't subscribe to any system.
You're gonna go to purgatory, dude.
You don't have a particular thing that is authoritative to you. You are, as an agnostic, you are your own authority.
So like, and what I decide is good or bad is based on what I deem to be acceptable subjectively, right?
Yeah, to you, like subjectively, you would be your normative authority.
Right, but like, isn't God like subjective as well? Because it's like subjective is mind dependent, right, and objective is mind independent. But isn't God's
Mhm.
mind subjective as well?
Are you asking? Wait, are you asking me about an attribute of God? Or are you asking about your perception of Him?
It could be either way, but like, I'm asking you like what you think in a sense, because like, well, if we take it as like mind
Mhm.
dependent is subjective, then God must have like a subjective view on what is good and bad as well, right?
Right. That would imply yes.
No, but he's omnipotent,
If
so he
God
already
wasn't
knows what's happening to you.
so if God was subjective, essentially
Omnipotent.
that would make him dependent upon each individual. Therefore, each individual has a different God because no individual perception will match another one's perception unless they were to converse and create a religious doctrine, right? So this is barring that happening, right?
Right.
So if it was
Yeah.
subjective, you could not make any claim definitively on what the essence or any attribute of God is because it would be just what you think, and you would and how dare you prescribe a different idea to someone else's God? But I believe
Interesting.
God is objective because as Christians, you believe in a universal truth,
He's
and
omnipotent, omniscient.
he's
He's all
omniscient.
those.
He is omniscient and
Omnipotent,
omnipotent and omnipresent,
Right. Right.
and
omnipresent.
and he is truth, right? He has set the standard of what truth is. And so our perspective of him is regardless if there is a creator, right? We're begging the question here. If there is a creator, he is the same whether or not you have an idea of him or whether or not I have an idea of him. He, as a creator, is separate from his creation, so he is not
God.
influenced or shaped by his creation's
Ah.
concepts.
That's interesting. Well, it's this is something I've heard in the past, but like if you have like the objective truth with you being a Christian, and I have only subjective like morals and what's right or
Mhm.
wrong within me being my own agent or whatever, then how do we know that child sex is wrong based in Christianity?
So
Good,
when you're getting to that
good
sort of moral
call.
perspective, right?
What was that?
It comes down to the humanization concept that you have
Bullshit.
in the New Testament. Ma'am, please refrain. So it comes down. So any sort of moral prescription when it comes to treating people in any way, since the New Testament has been based off of seeing the image of God that they bear alongside you, right? Which is why there's so much of a testament towards having love, not just to your neighbor, but to your enemy, to acknowledge the image of God in there, right? And so the concept of child, I don't know the TikTok friendly language,
I don't
so
know either.
I'll
It's okay for now.
you know what I'm talking. Yeah,
It's just child rape, so
we can call it grape. Yeah, when people say grape, we'll call it grape.
Right.
So in the situation of that, is you could make the case that you are marring the image of God by taking away you are treating them as not the image of God, but as material, and so you can make the case just from that perspective.
oh
But
my
that's like
god.
subjective in a sense, because like nowhere in the Bible, to my understanding, does it say you shouldn't grape a child, and you're subjectively applying it
Right.
based
So
upon.
so now you see the issue of using biblical prescriptions without a normative authority.
Right.
So hence, if you're going to have a New Testament and a perception of it, you need to have an authority above you. Mine being, and me being convinced that the Eastern Orthodox Church is the only valid authority to make those claims.
Can I ask one question? One question. And I'm
Sure.
so sorry. As you are a Christian, so we take the Old Testament and the New Testament. Do we sort of scratch out all those, or just what do we do now as a Christian?
So how, like, what is the relation from the old to the new and the new to the old?
Yeah, like, I mean, are we doing the old? Are we doing the new?
So anything that, because of the new, because there is a New Testament, anything from the Old Testament is now viewed through a New Testament lens. And there's also the concept of you can't divorce entirely the New Testament from the Old Testament, because the New Testament builds its foundations off of prophecies in the Old Testament, and the lineage of King David, right? If they didn't have any of those principles, people would be like,
Solomon, David,
right, like, so
Moses.
they're
From
reliant upon the
Genesis
history.
to Leviticus. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth. We're doing away with them.
Not why would we do away with the conceptions of Ruth?
Well, because you just said that they didn't mean anything.
I didn't say they didn't mean anything. I'm saying that the New Testament needs to be read in light of the Old Testament. The Old Testament needs to be read in the
Matthew,
light
Mark,
of the New.
Luke, John, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Yeah, really? Okay.
Yes.
Which books of the Bible are we going to look at?
In what pursuit?
New or Old Testament? I'm just asking.
In the entirety.
No, you just said the old book. Genesis to Deuteronomy. It's called the Pentateuch, dude. The first 5 books of the Bible are called the Pentateuch. So if you do away with them, so then
Nobody said we're doing away with them.
Yeah, I don't think he's getting to that point. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I think he's saying, like, he described it to me, like, read the Old Testament and then the New Testament and the New Testament and the Old Testament to understand how they all work together. Is that right?
Okay.
Dan?
Well,
right.
yeah.
Well, I said because, like, in order for the New Testament to make sense, you need the Old Testament foundation, and in order to reconcile the Old Testament, you need to read it through the lens of the New Testament.
Well, you know what Daniel did? Daniel prophesied Revelation, which was so funny. And then it turned, the tabernacle?
Yes.
You ever heard of the tabernacle? So it prophesied Jesus coming. So that was the Old Testament. So are we throwing that away or just going through straight to Daniel and Revelation? I'm just asking.
We're not throwing away. There's a type of. Did you know there's a type of tabernacle in the New Testament?
I did not know that.
What else would Mary be who had God dwell within her?
Oh no! Oh wow!
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Oh my god! Wow, that's
that's like. Have you heard of typology? I'm sure you have.
Nope, never heard of it.
Oh well, it's essentially you have a subject in the New Testament, right? And then you have the Old Testament type. So you will have people saying how you can draw parallels to Christ and Adam. People will say Christ is the new Adam because he comes from a woman, right?
He came from God himself. He's the son of man, dude.
He's the son of man. He's deifying humanity. Adam marred humanity. Christ donned humanity and deified it, and so he is the new Adam.
I'm not fighting
and
this, dude.
Right. So this is an example of typology. And so this is how you can make reference to Mary being a type of tabernacle because God dwelled within her.
Oh no, I was talking about the whore Mary Magdalene. That was a type of the Bible that they left out. Not Mary, the mother of Jesus. So wrong Mary. Sorry.
No, all good.
Yeah, you're good. Keep going, dude. Keep going. Love this.
I'm gonna say I love this too. This is great, just being educated on different parts of the Bible and Christianity in general. I'm gonna probably stay up for at least another 4 minutes. But if you guys want to kind of just say closing statements, or if you had more to say, I'll let you guys say it for a little bit.
I think typology is one of the more interesting, fun ways to digest the Bible. Typology is a patristic type of interpretation that is what they say it is it's a result of the excess of analogy. So like they're saying that
What does that
people
mean?
typology, essentially they're saying it's the answer to an excess of analogy, being they're saying people are making analogous leaps, they're using analogies in reference to the Bible that you can make sense, make a logical leap, but then discard the actual purpose of it. So they're saying people are building analogies too easily in order to try to like simplify teachings. And so a better way we can go about the symbolism of the New Testament is this practice of typology, referencing the New Testament subject to the Old Testament type. So if anybody's listening, typology is one of the most fun ways that I've digested any religious scripture.
I won't say what I want to say because I'm trying to be kind. But yeah, what a fucking bullshit pack of bullshit. Hope they read something and learn something different. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not. But like really? If you want to pray on the blood of some Christ, that's good for you. I'm not trying to be mean, but that's how I feel about it.
Well, don't worry, you haven't hurt my feelings.
Yeah, I mean that's just like, and then they live their life that way. It just is so fucking frustrating. I want to, you know what? I don't know if 5 years of college. You know what's got me? I mean, I have a great life, whatever, but it astounds me that people actually fucking believe that.
Yeah, I know. We're like moon men.
Yeah, I'm like,
We're
you know
like
what's
we used to be this. Think about how we feel. We used to be the status quo of how everyone thought, and now we're the crazy people.
No, you know what? We're not. We're coming back. No, dude, we are. I'm like, it kills me. And you know what? I don't know if you have I'm usually never on here live, whatever. But I'm telling you, what the fuck is wrong? But you know what? Our votings come separate. We're gonna be Democrat. We're gonna fucking vote. We're gonna be normal fucking people. But my God, this religion thing, like with my mom, what has made me crazy was when she found Pentecostal, and when I went to college. No, dude, this is why I know this is why I know all the Bibles and study them and read them. And dude, sometimes I sit there. I don't want to say this to you because I don't want to make you like sad or whatever. But I sit there and I fucking cry because the King James version of that and what they think God is for them and for my mother, I'm like, okay, well, you're gonna fucking die.
Well, I think that Pentecostals and some forms of Protestantism have a very, and this is my opinion.
Okay,
I
say
think
it to me.
I think that they
Weak-minded.
aren't able to handle scrutiny from older sects of Christianity, so they rely upon fear mongering.
Dude, it's bullshit. These are weak-minded people that
Like
needed
they,
a fucking out, and they found it.
like
And they found it.
the thing is when you take the message of Christianity in its entirety, it's not a choose God or fucking burn. It's not that. It's not the general message
But
of
for
it.
my mom, it is.
Yeah,
You know what?
to some Christian Protestants, it is that, and that that saddens me because
But I could never change her or make her think or prove to her in scripture. that she's wrong, right?
Well,
You know what?
it,
The reason I
you can't change your mama's opinion. She changed your diapers. Okay?
no, but the reason I came on your live was because there has to be some time in my life that I can prove to my mom, no matter how wrong she's done in her life, she's not going to go to fucking hell. Like, as much money as she gets to church, as much as she prays, or as much as she gives, you know what? Well, if there's that, and I don't believe in that,
Mhm.
I'm like, Mom, please
Have
don't
you
live your life that way. It's so fucking frustrating, dude. I want to fucking, like, shake her.
so here you might want to get her to try this mental exercise, which is
Okay.
in both the Old Testament and the New Testament. You have imagery talking about God separating the wheat from the chaff and chaff going into the fire, right?
Well, you know what? The Book of Ruth is my favorite. You know what? If you want to talk to me about something that I love,
But here, let me
I
let me
know
land my
what.
plane real quick. Let me land my
Okay,
plane,
go ahead.
which was
I'm listening. Sorry.
because I know our host said he had to wrap up real
No,
quick.
you're
I
good.
But,
This is good for a little
Sorry.
bit.
which was
I'm listening.
there's a different perception. Our modern day perception of hell is very influenced by a medieval piece of literature called Dante's Inferno.
Yeah,
It's
I
very
know.
influenced,
Hades.
and
I
so
get it. I get
and,
it. Fuck
and
you.
so they like the imagery they believe in, the situation of what hell is heavily influenced by this. And so what this is a perception you should try to get her to say, heaven and hell is the same place. It is your disposition towards God is what defines whether or not it's bliss or hell. If you love God and you choose God, it will be bliss. If you hate God, if you made a point not to follow his edicts, your experience of him would be hell. It's the
love that
same
understanding.
experience. It's the same experience. Is whether if you
Untrue.
choose it,
Untrue.
if you choose it, you would love it. But if you
No.
didn't choose it, it would be your hell.
No, I don't believe that. It's very, very untrue to me, because I have a concept, and I have studied. No, my mom is going to somewhere wherever she goes, but you know what? None of us have ever come back, right?
Except
None of us
Lazarus.
ever have went beyond. Oh my God! You actually fucking believe that? You're a joke.
I'm a Christian. What do you expect? I believe the story of Lazarus. Yeah.
Did you say second lives?
No, I said I believe in the story of Lazarus.
Yeah,
Lazarus being raised by the dead by
so
Christ.
did Jesus. You know what? You know what? Jesus died for 3 days. Oh my! Are you?
I believe in the
that
ability of
is-
bodily resurrection.
You know what? That's a moral story. That is so untrue. Let me tell you about somebody came back from the fucking death, motherfucker. No one has. No, oh, sorry. I know. Sorry.
No, I'm
I'm
just trying
sorry.
to simmer
I'm
down.
sorry.
Simmer down a bit. I know you're passionate, but it's
I
okay.
know. Sorry.
I'm
But
all
you
good.
know
My
how
feelings didn't
angry
hurt.
I get when somebody from Jesus comes back and like, oh, Jesus came back 3 days, and then, you know what? You know, he didn't. First off, he was never here. He was never the Son of God. Because if God created someone as equal, why would he ever die? Read in the scriptures. The first, you know what? The whole New Testament is a joke.
What's your
And
normative
what are you
authority to make that
talking
claim?
about? Tell me a story. Please don't tell me a story, because you know what? I don't need to understand the story, because I've read it. Have you read it?
What's your
No, I
normative
don't think
authority to
you
make these
have.
claims?
You're not coming for me,
What's your
because
normative
first
authority,
off,
ma'am?
yeah, don't.
I'm asking. What's your
Because
normative authority?
I'm sorry.
What is your normative authority?
What the? Who the hell are you, and why are you
If
asking
you're gonna
me
make
any
these claims
questions?
about scripture, what's your normative authority?
Oh, my authority is. You want to know my authority?
Yeah, what's your
First off,
normative authority?
I have a bachelor's in psychology. I have a master's in theology,
Uh-huh.
and that's all. And I almost have a PhD if I finish this one. If I finish this one thing, and you know what it will take for me to finish this one thing, to have my thesis to go, it will prove that Jesus never existed. So that's what I'm going for. So there you go.
The authority you rest your opinions
No, I
on
have
are
I have no authority.
secular institutions.
Yeah, I have no authority. I'm
Okay.
gonna present what I have because my education, what I've studied, has been a long ass time, and it doesn't mean anything against any Christianity, whatever. What I'm proving is what I proved, and I've proved it.
That Jesus didn't exist.
No, Jesus did exist, but he was
Okay.
never the Son of God.
I see.
No, that's what my thesis is about. Is that I proved he existed, but he was never ever a Son of God.
Yeah, it was.
I have ideas, but we'll have to come on another day, guys. I appreciate both of you guys for coming up and just being, open and honest with your views and beliefs and being civil for the most part. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. So,
You as well, Reggie. You have a good rest of your year.
hey, guys, take care. All right. Bye-bye.